everyone, Krista Moser here. Today I get to show you my brand new pattern. This is the Wreath Quilt. Original name, I know. It's a sampler quilt. Each block teaches you a new way to use the Creative Grid 60-degree diamond mini ruler. So what I thought I would show you is just how simple some of these blocks are and how fun, and then talk about some of the other blocks and some exciting kind of new ideas we have coming up with that. I've sewn together here a set of rectangles, my green stripe and kind of a green tonal. You know, I like stripes. So what I'm going to do, I've pressed my seams open. That's very important because when it comes to doing, this is going to be the pinwheel block. So this one here, when it comes to doing these pinwheels, we have a lot of bulk in the center, and so to avoid any kind of lumps or bumps, then we press those seams open. That's what I've done here. Now I'm going to take the ruler, and this seam here, I'm going to put it right down the center line. There's a solid center line going up the middle of the ruler. We need the 4.5-inch line across the bottom here, and then the flat tip at the other end, and then my black center line down the seam. You will be really impressed with how simple this little block is. Taking those corners off, turn the ruler. Now it's the other seam and the other side. So there's not a lot of waste here, you'll see. I'm just taking the sliver off. Those triangles. I'm going to work my way down the strip to get 6 of them to make my pinwheel block. It's kind of fun to do a quilt where you just do tonals, you know, all greens or several varieties of greens and then some reds. You can work from your stash. All right. Two more. Here, that seam, 4.5-inch line. Taking this off here. Okay, last one. Just like that. Set that aside. Okay. Here we have all these triangles. Now we get to put them together. That's half the block. The other half of the block here. Now this whole quilt goes together in units like this, half and half, so there's no Y seams. Each one of the blocks, we've got 3 of these pinwheel blocks, there's 3 hollyberry blocks, and 3 star blocks with the gold tips. Actually, there's 6 of those, because what I get is 3 hollyberry blocks, 3 green star blocks, and then 3 gold and white star blocks, and those go into the background. You can see that in different areas. So each one of these blocks teaches you a new way to use the ruler, and what I just showed you here with those 6 cuts gets you the pinwheel block. Now by cutting off those outside tips, it looks like there's going to be a hole in the middle of the block, but there's not. Back what we talked about, press your seams open because that alleviates any bulk when joining these units together. And here we have a biased edge meets a straight of grain edge. We've talked about that before, and what you do, in this case, it'll be like these two. This one is a straight of grain edge. This edge is the biased edge. So when you're sewing these together, you're going to put this one on top. Always put your bias side towards your feed dogs, and that will allow the feed dogs to do all the work of easing in any oversized pieces, if there are those. And then you're going to press that seam open, and then you'll add this one with this piece on top and press that seam open. That will alleviate any bulk here, and because we cropped off those outside tips, it actually removes any bulk from that center tip too. And then when you go to join the other 3, these will go together in rows, so there's no Y seams. All the blocks are done that way, even though I've sewn the others into hexagons. They actually get assembled in half hexagon units, and so they just go together in rows this way. like this. It's very, very fun. What I thought I would show you next is the leaf block, because we've got these hexagon blocks and they all kind of get fit together. You know, this one, and then we'll march them around and around like this. Now what we get here to fill in our hexagons are these little leaf units. It's a fun little block that ends up as a triangle unit. And so we've got some of those here and here, here and here. Little leaf units that fill out the wreath to kind of make it a little bit fuller. So let me show you how those go together. Scoot these aside. I've got 2 shades of green here. My background, what will be my background, and my leaf. So what I'm going to do, stack them up nice and even, 2.5 inch line. Now I've got them back to back, so they're actually a folded strip, wrong side together, which is fine if you are confident to cut through more than 1 layer. I'm cutting through 4 layers here. So I have my 2.5 inch line and my flat tip across the top. And that's junk. I'm going to do 2 cuts like that. And that will get me 4 triangles. And then we do diamonds. So let's set those aside. Now I'm going to turn the ruler in to the side. The 2.5 inch diamond line nestles against that fresh cut edge. I'm going to trim here and flatten the tip. And that will get me 2 different leaf blocks. So here's what I'll show you. You have these 2 together. And let's get their opposite backgrounds. So here is 1 triangle unit. You'll sew that seam, press it in, sew that seam, and press it out. And what that does, when you go to join these 2 units to each other, you've got your triangle units and you go to join them together, these seams will nest because they flip-flop that way. So we're going to get some different variety from these leaves. Just like this. We'll have this guy with a dark background. So we have dark leaves with a light background, and then we're going to have light leaves with a dark background. Just like that. And then they just get scattered, so you get to do a variety of those. The background and the leaves all change as you work your way around the quilt. If you're working with a variety of different greens, you can kind of highlight light greens, dark greens. It really makes the quilt sparkle, makes it look like light is hitting it in a certain place. It's a very, very fun quilt to do. So what I thought we would do, we didn't do kits for these. You can work from your stash. You could get the exact same fabrics that I did here because we put together a skew sheet. So the fabrics that I used, we listed them all out with little pictures of them. It's available at KristaMoser.com. And also there's a fabric planner, which is just a coloring sheet, so you can kind of plan your colors if that's more your style, to do something original. Here is the pattern. It's a little booklet style, because you'll see each one of these pages. Here's the pinwheel block that I showed you. Here's the hollyberry block. Step-by-step instructions. Now we're getting into the leaf block, and then the bow, and the background, and final assembly. It's really straightforward. What I thought we would do, and I've never done this, but I get asked all the time, is a sew-along. So, we're going to do a sew-along for this quilt for a 6-week kind of concept each week. We'll spend 3 weeks on the main blocks, then we'll do the leaf blocks, we'll do the bow blocks, we'll do the background blocks, and then the final assembly. So we're going to do a Facebook group. That's a sew-along group. So all you need to do when you buy this pattern at KristaMoser.com, just put in the comment box that you would like to join the sew-along, and we'll send you an invitation to it. It'll be really fun. I'm thinking that we'll do little tutorials week by week where I will show you that week's block in a video tutorial where I'm going to just demo like I've done here on that week, and then I'll be in the group to answer questions. If you've got questions or if you're having trouble, then I'll be in the group pretty often to help you troubleshoot if you get stuck on something and just to work your way through it. Also, it's fun to be able to share it with other people, and you can have your friends join in, and then you can share your work and show people what you've done, and week by week we'll build this quilt. If you need some inspiration for fabric, let me show you what I worked with. Like I said, there's a skew sheet. But if you need inspiration, this is what I tend to do. Lights to darks, a bunch of different variety. I always include a stripe. We've got dark greens here, and then grassy light greens. This background one didn't make the pile, but you see it here. I did lights to darks in my reds here too, for the variety. And it gives you just kind of an idea. If you're looking for inspiration for picking fabric, download the skew sheet. You can see kind of a visual of what I've got here, and maybe grab something from your stash. I hope you found something inspiring here. Thanks for watching.